I looked in my Bible, in my daddy's Bible, it says the wolf and the lamb. That was never there. It was always the lion and the lamb. And so there's those of us who feel the Mandela effect, and those of us who think everyone's crazy that has a Mandela effect. They think that you're all just stupid and remembering things wrongly. And this is the argument against the Mandela effect. We're all remembering it wrongly, okay? A Mandela effect, or a warp in the space-time continuum, changing things like, now in the Bible apparently, the lion doesn't lay down with the lamb, the wolf lies down with the lamb. That just sounds wrong. The wolf lying down with the lamb. I mean, there's even songs about it when I was a boy. And the lion shall lay down with the lamb. Okay, so it appears that the Bible has been changed, even. From logos and, from the Bible to literature and movies and television, that there's all these minor differences in how we remember it versus how it really was. And so people that are opponents of the Mandela effect will tell you well, you're just remembering it wrong. You're just mentally slow. You're just not as quick as the rest of us. In fact, people who do not see the Mandela effect are quite abusive towards us, those of us who do see the Mandela effect. There are probably going to be some haters on here that tell us we're all mentally ill, or we're just retarded and stupid and we don't remember things right, and it's our problem, not theirs. Okay? So there's a definite divide between people who can claim some Mandela effects, that recognize some Mandela effects. For me, the huge deal for me is the lion and the lamb thing, and now it's the wolf and the lamb. The very people who think we're crazy because we have a Mandela effect memory, those that are telling us that we're just stupid or retarded, or that we're remembering things wrong, or that we're just goofy or we're stupid, those people that are hating on us because of the Mandela effect are the same people who hate Trump. They're the same people. They're the same people who believe the lies of the mainstream media. They're the same people who say Trump's a racist and he murdered millions of people and he's bad as Hitler or Stalin. Those people that are saying that are the same people who don't get the Mandela effect. Now, I could be wrong. This is just anecdotal. This is just me noticing that there's this huge correlation between people who do not recognize the Mandela effect as a real thing, and those who hate Trump with this passion. These people that, I've been watching Beto lately. He's saying, we will buy back the guns, and if you don't give us the guns, we're coming after you. We're going to create a database of all gun owners. We're going to register every gun in America, and then we're coming for them. Really? They seem completely insane. They seem completely irrational. But to them, they're normal, and we're the insane ones. We're the irrational ones. How dare we think we could own assault weapons? See, in their reality, we're the weird ones. In their universe where they come from, they're the right ones, and we're the outcasts. We're the outlanders, or outliers, as it were. We're the exception, and they're the rule. And to us, we're the rule, and they're the exception. And it very well could be that the end times...
Of course, if you've been going through this, especially for more than a year, you've had the feeling and premonition, or just asking, right, am I really crazy? Is this really me? But know that you're more sane. Know that there is no such thing as being well adjusted in this society. Why? Because you're woken up enough to know that this society is insane. It's been for millennia, and it's crumbling. It's a metamorphosis. It's an apocalypse, but even that, every day is an apocalypse. If you did see 4 people in the JFK, for instance, then that was the reality, period. And don't ever let anyone try to convince you otherwise. Don't let the smallest of Mandela effects, right? Even the logo change. Like, for me personally, the one that hits me most is the Ford symbol, because I grew up working on cars with my father. Old Ford cars, while running a landscaping company. Always going out landscaping in old Ford cars. So I know for a fact, as he does too, that the Ford symbol before didn't have the little, you know, circle signature in the center line of the F. But I had to make a video real quick because my heart's telling me to, regarding the Mandela effect. I've seen enough confessions on YouTube where I feel like I should be speaking a little bit right now, because I've experienced it myself, of course, why I'm talking about it, since 2016. And I feel like a lot of people, the majority of people going through the Mandela effect, don't have an outlet. And they feel like their entire world is crumbling. Because the apocalypse, and don't quote me, but I think it's Greek origin linguistically, simply means the unveiling of that which was not before. Why? Because we are sentient beings that have the innate capacity of recognizing our own mortality. So I give my love out and I give my prayers out to both. We're all spiritual beings, and we're all multidimensional beings. I'm skeptical, and I can't say I've done enough research to say for certain how much I can advocate for or against, say, the CERN theory. But I do know this, that my heart tells me we, as sentient beings, as spiritual, multidimensional beings having this human experience, we are playing a larger part onto this than we ever give ourselves credit for. Us not giving ourselves credit for how much of a part we play into us sentient life that recognizes this reality, into the very reality that we have in front of us, interwoven through our own unique points of views. I mean, that is something that's taken for granted. It's just one thing after another. And I know for a fact that other people having the Mandela effect are realizing that synchronicity in play, are conscious to that synchronicity in play, to a way that even the trauma that you may be experiencing because of the Mandela effect, or because of the tragedy, it's relevant and it's important.
Unbelievable. But there's a lot of things that I remember that don't even exist, and it's like blowing me away, man. I cannot stop thinking about it. It's crazy. The first thing I remember is Looney Tunes being spelled Toons. That I remember clear as day. Now, if you look that up on Google, it's Tunes. They don't spell it Toons. And they said it never happened. From what I'm researching, blew me away when I found that out. Febreze, that's another one. It's spelled Febreze now in this reality, but I remember it being spelled with two E's, Febreeze. If you haven't experienced what I'm experiencing, I'm here to let you know it's something different. It's what they say in the Mandela effect is it's a parallel reality. It's like there's a group of people that are in one reality, or was in one reality, and there's another group of people that are in this reality. Man, let me know in the comment section if you are experiencing any of this. Yo, this is like blowing me away. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Now he says it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. When I was growing up as a kid, he would always say it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. I would see his show faithfully. I would never miss a show, man. That's why I know this is a parallel reality going on. It's two realities, man. Or we could be converted into one. You see, so I don't know. But just give me your thoughts on this. What I remember is only 4. JFK and his wife was in the back seat, and the two people in the front seat. There was only four in that car. Something is different. Something is different in this world. I'm just here to tell you, whether you remember any of this that I'm talking about or not, it's something different. I'm here to tell you, man. Things are shifting. This is crazy. This is real. You already know it's a real thing when you have thousands of people talking about it. So you know there's dual realities. It's a parallel reality of some sort. And another thing that I'm experiencing too, and it might tie into this, I don't know, but it seems like when I'm, going about my business on the outside, right, and just running errands, doing things like that, it seems like I can sense the earth is like phasing in and out. It's just, I get like little strange feelings, like the earth is like shifting of some sort. And I don't know. I ain't never used to be a believer of this type of stuff, but now I'm a firm believer in this Mandela effect and the earth changing like it is. Because I just get a weird feeling. I don't know. Let me know if you experience any of this at all in the comments. If you feel any weird feelings or any strange feelings when you're out and about, or if you remember anything and then you look back on it and it never existed. Just leave that in the comments if you can. The earth is changing, and it seems like it's we being converted into a different reality or something. Just let me know what you think about this. The Mandela effect. I just ran across this recently. It blew me away. Now, you can only relate to what I'm saying if you're experiencing it at all.
Heartbroken pastor tells congregation the Bible has changed. Now, that caught my eye, got my attention immediately. But I was also sort of snickering when I opened it up. But by the time it had ended, my attitude had changed pretty dramatically. He began to tell his congregation, or ask them questions, as we do when we're trying to get people to find out if people have been affected by the ME, quantum effect. And one of the first things he said was, you don't put new wine into old blank. And of course his congregation immediately piped up and said, wineskins, which was also my recollection, and a verse that I had used many times, had it memorized. And I thought, that can't be so. Well, I have a copy of something called eSword on my computer to make it easy for me to search for scriptures and references that I want to study. And I had done this for about 8 or 10 years of my life in a very, very, very deep way, constantly looking for new meanings. I opened up my eSword, and sure enough, wineskins had changed to bottles. And let me qualify that. Nothing has changed, but there was a great difference between what I had studied and memorized and what exists now. This kind of shook me up, but what I did, what most people do, I rationalized and said, oh, it must be them trying to change the digital versions in order to confuse people, or blah, 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 whatever. I looked for a materialist answer for it, as we often do, normally do. And then he talked about the lion and the lamb, Isaiah 11:6. And he said, what lies down with the lamb? And of course everyone piped up and said, the lion. And he said, no, the wolf shall dwell with the lamb. And so at this point, I ran to my cabinet where I keep my Bible I've had for the last 15 years or so, and looked these things up, and there, right in the print, wineskins had changed to bottles, and the lion was now a wolf. And for the next 2 weeks, I have to admit, I was pretty scared. And I think most of us would, because this discontinuity of information is just terribly disconcerting. I mean, how can the Bible possibly change? Well, the answer is it hasn't changed. In this time stream that we're in now, it was always bottles, and it was always the wolf. And if you go back to the oldest manuscripts that you can find, it's exactly like that. So the King James Version Bible has not changed. Let me make that perfectly clear. And this time stream has always been exactly as it is now. And I have to say this, if it weren't for the Bible changes, I'm pretty sure that I wouldn't have given the Mandela effect a second look. And if it hadn't been for the Bible, I probably never would have looked at it at all. I would have just written it off as some crazy, wild theory of, things that weren't so. I never would have looked at the logos. I never would have looked at the iconic changes in movies, or, any of the differences that we now see. And to my knowledge, after a year, I can say I've probably seen hundreds, if not thousands, of differences. So, let me talk about something else. Reality residue. People point to these residues as proof of things being another way. But let me say this, they're not proof. They are evidence that something's going on. So residues, I think, could very easily be created either by the people creating them not remembering correctly, obviously, or drifting in and out of different realities and leaving evidence like breadcrumbs on the trail, and then drifting away. Now, let me say this. When you watch a YouTube video or do research something and find out that it is a certain way, and then you come back days later, I experienced some that changed over the course of just a few days, then I have to say, I would have to have a pretty bad memory to have a distinct memory of watching a YouTube video describing an event like that, and then a few days later, those videos don't even exist anymore. You can't find them no matter how hard you try. So that was confirmation, and like I said, I've had several of those, about 6 or 7 flip-flops, and one that flip-flopped twice, the position of the heart. When I was growing up, the heart was always on the left side of the chest. Not completely, but mostly, about 2/3 on the left and 1/3 on the right, or in the center. Now, recently, within probably about a month, it changed back to the left side for a few days. And of course I researched it when it said it was back. And I was tipped off by the comment section of another video that I was watching where the person said, you know that the heart's back on the left again? And I went, huh? Okay. So I went and researched it, and sure enough, Google said 2/3 of the heart is on the left and 1/3 is on the right. Then, 2 days later, it had flipped back to the center again, only slightly to the left.
We've done something to screw up the natural order of things. And I blame CERN. I blame the search for dark matter and these underground superconductor colliders, and where they're smashing these atoms together at the speed of light or something. And it's not natural. And it's led to a not natural situation. It's led to a sudden and complete destabilization of the earth. What we're experiencing now is not a civil war in America. It's not even World War III. I heard an Antifa member name it appropriately. They called it what it is. They said this is a global revolution. All of this insanity has got to be related. Seriously, it's all got to be linked somehow. It's just too big of a coincidence that CERN sets up business. Suddenly it seems like our universe shifts, right? And then this global uprising. We're dividing ourselves between the people who believe in goodness and people who have no morals whatsoever. Is it just the battle between good and evil becoming more crystallized, or did CERN do something at their facility that caused a tear in the space-time continuum? And is this why Jesus has to come back and reset us? Because we screwed up the universe. God has to intervene and repair what they've done at CERN. And this is what the whole end time story is about. Maybe the people who got flooded did something similar, and they messed up the space-time continuum, and they caused these universes to crash into one another. Could it be that they caused their universe to crash into some other similar universe, and that they had a similar kind of global separation between the people who instinctively know that they're from one universe, and they gather with their people, this division? How the heck did we get where we're at? It's confusing, and I'm grasping for straws. Trump derangement syndrome, maybe demon possession, but it may be because CERN opened up a door and all of these demons flooded in from some other reality, and they're affecting our reality. That's another one for another coffee talk, that they opened up the gates to hell. That could be. It's starting to turn to hell on earth here, but mainly because there's this whole group of people that are just irrationally hateful, and they're accusing us of hate. Everything they accuse us of, they're doing. They're accusing us of racism while they're rampantly racist. They're accusing us of everything under the sun. They're accusing us of colluding with Russia when Hillary was colluding with Russia. They're accusing us of being the reason for all of these mass shootings, when none of us legitimate legal gun owners and collectors have ever shot anybody except in self-defense, and even that's rare amongst us. Most people who own guns never even been arrested, but they're going to kick your door down and take your guns now. It's a Mandela effect. CERN has done something, and these people aren't from our reality. These people didn't exist. These people we're talking about, these people that hate us, they didn't exist 10 years ago. They didn't exist 15 years ago. Did they just emerge? Were they always there hiding? Or were they living in their universe that was more combative, that was more controlling, that was more authoritarian? And when they came here, they're just continuing their behavior. Another thing to think about is, if you have a Mandela effect and you combine these two universes, did they come to ours or did we come to theirs? I'll tell you, there's some animal Mandela effects that blow me away, and I've experienced them since I came back here. When I came to this property that I'm on here, my shotgun shack in the Texas Outback, 20 years ago. 20 years ago I came here, and 19 years ago, and there was no jackrabbits here. If you wanted to see jackrabbits, you had to go 100 miles away from here to see a significant number of jackrabbits. But now there are jackrabbits everywhere here. Where did they come from? The bugs have changed. There are spiders everywhere. There were never spiders like this. There are spiders everywhere. There's a new variety of ant I've never seen before. And if you want to get freaked out, go on the Animal Planet or some other channel like that on YouTube and look around at weird animals. There's all these weird animals that didn't exist before. The weirdest animal we had was a platypus. He looks pretty normal compared to some of the animals that you can see now if you go on to some of these Animal Planet type channels. And people will say, well, Sage, you just weren't an expert, and now with the internet, you're getting more access to... I watched every episode of Animal Kingdom, every episode of Jacques Cousteau. I grew up with these animal shows. Weird animals were my thing growing up, and I would have remembered some of these weird animals that are apparently just, they've been here all along, and everyone was like, oh yeah, there's that weird animal with antennas and... Sometimes I think that I died or I got hurt in a car accident on the way to a gig back in the early 2000s, and or at least maybe back in 2008 or 2009. It's hard to say when this started changing for me. I think for all of us, it was right around that time that we started seeing the changes. But I'm starting to think that I got in a car crash and I've been in a coma, and this is all a big, fever dream. This is all a coma dream, because it just seems unreal. The world has changed so much. It's not normal. It's not the amount that changed in my dad's lifetime. It's not the amount that the world's changed. People have changed so drastically, so suddenly. There's got to be something. It's demons, or it's the Mandela effect, and we've messed with the space-time continuum. It's something. It's something. It's not normal, I promise you. I've been around a long time. I've seen a lot of stuff. And I gotta tell you, this is bizarre. How these people who didn't exist before, in my world, people like this didn't exist. Or did they? And they were just keeping their mouth shut. And now they're bold enough to talk about it? It's been going on everywhere. This is a global phenomenon. It's not just America. People are losing their minds, and it all seems to be related. And it seems to me that it's either spiritual or some kind of psychic phenomenon, or it's some kind of, maybe the electromagnetic fields are out of flux, and we're all having insanity because of the variations in the electromagnetic field, because of the diminishment of our electromagnetic field that we know is going on right now. Your mind is ran by electrochemical impulses, so maybe that's what's causing this insanity. But why is it only affecting some people and not others? I don't know. As the old wise sage sitting on his porch watching this stuff go down, it looks fishy. It's not normal. It's not normal human historical behavior. We're in a weird, weird time, and maybe it's because CERN crashed these different universes together, and now we're going to have a war with each other. The people are dividing between the universe. Is it just the collapse of society and culture? Is it because of the loss of the family? Or is this something more scientific? Or even, don't you feel like you're stuck in a sci-fi movie? 100 times a day I go, I'm in some kind of sci-fi horror film. This is not real. Do you think we're living in a world that's not real? Is this a Mandela effect? What is it? It's something.